What is up, everyone? This is Press X to Start Podcast Season 6, Episode 12. Press X to Start Podcast is an audio and video podcast seeking to transform the video game media landscape through an underserved and protected point of view. I am your host, back at it again, DJ, a.k.a. Sexy Bad Choices, a.k.a. I just want to give it up to Avery and Sean because they did an amazing job last episode, and it was immaculate. So thank you, boys. You did great. AKA.
Views are mixed.
Well, there's only one, and it's my review, so it's not mixed. AKA. I just want to make this announcement very public and very clear for all those who don't know that Press X Start Podcast has been officially chosen to be in the next DC WebFest award show. So we did it.
Okay.
There's no clapping. Can we get at least someone else being
Marcus,
like, we're amazing?
Marcus do it in post. It's fine.
There we go. Marcus will nail it.
I thought we were told not to make noise while you were doing an intro. We were just following the rules there, my guy.
I literally already broke that rule. I was muted the entire time.
I am Sean MF Ross.
What the MF stand for?
I am no longer standing.
Oh, that's true. This guy was about to just do squats through the entire episode, and I'm like, this is just amazing. He'd be sweating before what we've been playing. Who else is here?
It's your boy Jordan, aka JXBot, aka Dungeon Master Jordan, I guess.
Whoa.
Come on.
This man got his own dungeon?
Yes. It is what it is. Don't judge.
And last up?
Hi, everyone. It's me, Avery.
Nailed it, as always. Beautiful. All right, that is who we are. Now it is time for us to jump into the heavy hitter. Before we do that, though, we ask that you please like this video. Please subscribe if you have not, and please hit that notification bell. If you do those three things, you will be pretty cool in our eyes. And you want that. You want that
And
for
if
you
you
and your
don't,
family.
we're going to get some sponsors. And then you got to listen to real ads.
Yes. Like Gold Bond. Buy Gold Bond. All right. Number one. So, as I said at the very, very start of this whole thing that we're doing right now, PlayStation Plus has updated their services. And Jim Ryan himself has put out a blog post on PlayStation Blog about this whole thing happening. I'm not going to read the blog post because it's a lot of words just to get to the fact that there will now be 3 tiers for PlayStation Plus. The first tier is PlayStation Plus Essential, the second tier is PlayStation Plus Extra, and the third is PlayStation Plus Premium. Now, there is a fourth tier. It's called PlayStation Plus Deluxe, and that is for markets without cloud streaming. So PlayStation Plus Deluxe will be offered at a lower price compared to PlayStation Premium and includes a category of beloved classic games from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP generations to download and play, along with time limited.
I'm trying to see what was that, Deluxe?
Yeah, that's Deluxe.
That.
Well, yeah, it's.
I've not heard about Deluxe.
Oh,
yeah, it's on the blog.
Select markets.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's for select markets who can't. Okay, so it's not even something that is applicable to our market in particular.
I'm just including it because no one else talks about it, so it's there. But yeah, so that's Deluxe. If you're in Americas, you're not gonna. You're not gonna be. You're gonna have to use the US. Anyways, that's that. All right, so now we can get into the pricing of these things. So PlayStation Plus Essential. Actually, I'll talk about the benefits first and then the pricing. So what you get from Essential is essentially what you have right now with PlayStation Plus. So you get 2 monthly downloadable games, you get exclusive discounts, you get cloud storage for save games, and you get multiplayer access. Online multiplayer access. There is no changes for the existing PlayStation Plus members in this tier. So essentially everyone will have Essential, and they have the choice of upgrading. So the first slot you can upgrade to is PlayStation Plus Extra, which provides all the benefits from the Essential tier. Plus, you get the added category of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, including blockbuster hits from the PlayStation Studio category and third-party partners. Games in the extra tier are downloadable for play. So, this is in a weird way, I guess, this is kind of new because you get access to a bunch of PS4 games.
I guess this would be the equivalent of Game Pass.
No, well, yes and no. This is because PlayStation Now had PS4 games on it.
Oh, it did? Okay.
It just didn't have PS5 games on it.
Right. Okay. So this is just the PlayStation 4 section of PS Now. So they split that. Okay.
I would compare this to Game Pass then. Or you disagree, Jordan?
No. I want us to get further in the conversation before I say anything like that. Because there's certain things we check, like we go into. I want to see where this goes.
I mean, as far as what's offered, like this gen and last gen games, that's what Game Pass does, is give you Xbox One and Xbox Series X games.
But you also get Xbox 360 and Xbox, right?
Yes. We got to get to
okay. We'll finish this.
I'm not going to derail.
And the last tier is PlayStation Premium, which provides all the benefits from essential and extra tiers. Mm-hmm. You get an additional 340 games, including PlayStation 3 games available via cloud streaming, not download. That's important. You get a category of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP generations. There's offer of cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the extra and premium tiers in markets. The markets being select markets. So that's that. That's what I was talking about, the PlayStation Plus Deluxe. And then customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC. It's another asterisk there. And then you get the time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier. So customers can try select games before they buy. So those are the three tiers. In terms of pricing, as I said, the PlayStation Essential is pretty much what we have now. So I'm only going to read the US because, sorry, there's only the US if you live in the US. You know what I mean? Anyways, it's $9.99 for the monthly. It is $24.99 for quarterly, and it is $59.99 for yearly. So that's for Essential. For Extra, it is $14.99 monthly, $39.99 quarterly, and $99.99 yearly. That's for Extra. For Premium, it is $17.99 monthly, $49.99 quarterly, and $119.99 yearly. So those are the three tiers to this new PlayStation Plus subscription service. Now that we have all the information laid out to us, now we can jump into the conversation about this and how it makes us feel in our heart and in our wallets. Sean, you jump first. Go.
I wonder if I know it's not explicitly mentioned, but I wonder if PSP is inclusive of PS Vita games.
No Vita, just PSP. So that category is missing in this entirely, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I also never owned a Vita, so
I'm saying I wonder if they're just assuming. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. What you gonna say, Avery?
I was gonna say I didn't own the Vita as well, so I don't know if the Vita and the PSP stores were interchanged, connected. So that theoretically PSP games would be Vita games, and I don't know. We'll see.
I got you. No, because it has the touch screen and the touchpad on the back, the front and back, so they can't really emulate that. Now that Okay.
Right.
They can, and we'll talk.
I suppose, but I'm gonna get it. I mean, $120 yearly.
You get the premium tier.
The premium.
Yeah, I mean, I pay. I get my PlayStation Plus yearly anyway from a website, which sells them cheaper than normal.
Okay.
There goes Sean.
Man,
just crossover.
I love when Sean talks about like, yeah, I get this thing.
I got ways.
Leave it at that.
But I mean, 120 a year isn't bad. I think once again, like I said, that's comparable to Game Pass. Do you pay for stuff yearly or monthly, Jordan?
You can't pay for game. You can't pay yearly for Game Pass.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. It's only monthly that you pay for Game Pass.
But the basic Game Pass version, which is $10 a month, does equate to 120. But the $15 a month is basically 180. But yeah, you cannot pay it yearly, which sucks.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I think they can't pay them yearly because they want to get that you pay and forget about it thing. Is that they want to get you in that $1? I got Game Pass for $1, and then it changes to 10, and you just don't pay attention to it.
So, okay. So, Avery, what's your take on this?
I've been really, I guess, consistent of how I feel about this. If this is 100% not for me, the only positive thing for me out of this is that PlayStation Plus Essential is essentially just normal PlayStation Plus, which I already have. So theoretically, I'm already a subscriber to this new PS Plus model. So hey, I bought it. So what am I gonna say?
Yeah. Okay. And then for me, I'm pretty much on the same lines of Avery. Like, this is cool on paper, but I don't ever really have an inkling to go back to like the old PlayStation archive. So the, PS1, PS2 streaming PS3 games don't really do it for me. And then for the PS4 games, I had the PS4. So the games that I had on there is pretty much the games that I was interested in playing. And also I feel like PS Plus, or I guess PS Plus Essential, does a good job with the whole 2 monthly downloadable games. So as it is right now, I don't think I'm going to be getting any of this. The only thing that I'm really missing out on is the game trials. And I think I'd need more time to see what that really looks like in the game. Out. Yeah. And then like, if it's good, if it's just like, oh, here's a game trial to God of War or something. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of cool that they're doing that for those kind of games. And then, that could make me jump into the different tiers, but as is right now, I'm pretty good on passing on this.
They need to give you a game trial to a new Gundam game.
Hey, if they
all the Gundam games are free for the most part, so downloading them is a trial.
I'm just saying, if they trick me somehow and it works, it works. They got my money, All right, Jordan, how do you feel about this?
Similar to the Will Smith, Chris Rock smack, I had like a few days to digest this and like understand what I was looking at here. No, it wasn't that egregious. This was a lot, this wasn't just like a changeover for their basic PlayStation Plus system for me. Like, this felt like a fairly systemic thing, especially when it comes to the backwards compatibility route. I mean, PlayStation Now did have some select PlayStation 1, 2 games, though 3 was still via streaming there. Part of me is like, I'm not going to cap. The emulation within Xbox was a deliberate effort that took a lot of time to get where it is right now, to which you can put in a Xbox original 360 one into a Series X and boom. I'm not expecting someone to do that overnight, but it just feels like, because of the formatting, like I understand Nintendo had a little bit of leeway because the GameCube and the N64 and all those are very different formats of video game media. But when you go back to the PS2, PS1, PS3, like, those are still your compact discs. Like, I don't want it to be locked behind a subscription for it. Earlier, I had put an article about how much Xbox paid for Guardians of the Galaxy, at least the assumed amount, for it to be on Game Pass. I was like $5 to $10 million. Similar to what y'all was like, I want to see more in terms of like the actual content of the catalog before I pass judgment on this, because this does seem like a bit of a starting off point for those that aren't quote unquote power gamers like us, that just wants to have that subscription service available for them to, go into different games, while at the same time, it's not the end of the world for not to be day and date. I totally see sometime down the line, Sony slowly starts putting in like these changes to which it's not day and date. You can get God of War Ragnarok 6 months after release. That's fairly tantalizing to me, or like a window in the future for which you have all these third-party games going onto the service, but like those big ones, it's like you can get this later on.
Not everybody has to play everything day one like we do.
Correct. I mean, like this is not like trash garbage. It's fine. Like it's like this is a starting off point to something that's most likely going to expand going forward, especially as they integrate their PlayStation ecosystem now that also includes PC.
Yeah. So my thing with this, and like I've already talked about, this is not for me. I've already talked about on multiple occasions, Game Pass isn't for me. That's not the way I play games. That being said, the only way, and I've said this about Game Pass, the only way to get me to be a Game Pass subscriber, like actually religiously, is for Microsoft to release games specifically for Game Pass, which means the only way I can play that game, and I'm interested in that game, is for Game Pass. And that's literally why I ended up having a Netflix, why I ended up having other streaming services and things like that. It's because they have a content that is exclusive, and it's the only way to get it from there. Because nothing. Cause when Netflix was first thing, I was buying everything on fucking DVDs. I had all these Blu-rays, and like I just wanted to watch Daredevil. And I can't. You don't understand how much time I searched for Daredevil season 1 Blu-rays, and like they would be advertised on Netflix, on Amazon, but like,
right,
were they ever coming out? But yeah, so like that's the content I want, and like it's very interesting in Sony's live service focused, multiplayer, expansive. Hey, we're gonna have 10 live service type of games. That where those games live is probably going to be on that extra tier. And to Jordan's point, my ultimate judgment on this system is going to be what is that first 400 games catalog going to look like? Because if it's what is on PlayStation now, which is like mostly shovelware, that's kind of unappealing and like not the best look forward. And B, what is the expansion going to look like for the essential tier? Because one of the issues that like to Jordan's earlier point about the deliberateness of what Xbox was doing with backwards compatibility is they had to go in and perfectly re-emulate all those games in order to apply all the bells and whistles that they wanted to do on them. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have to deal with the cell architecture of those old games.
That too.
But
wait, just to jump in real quick, I did not mention when the whole time frame of this launching. So in the June time frame, we'll begin with an initial launch in several markets in Asia, followed by North America, Europe, and the rest of the world where PlayStation Plus is offered. All right, continue.
Okay, so, but like to reiterate something that I say, and that I guess the marketing says, old game is old. And we scream about backwards compatibility. We scream about it on the most hardcore gamers scream about backwards compatibility all the time. But when the individuals look at the numbers, they're like, only 5% of the people who've been screaming about backwards compatibility are actually using these services.
So you're telling me you don't want to jump between Sonic Adventure 2 and Mercenaries in the same sitting? You don't want to do that?
I think it's just like the people who scream for cheap manual, stick shift cars to come to market, but then only want to buy them used.
No, Avery's right.
And then, so to that point, like Microsoft has stopped doing their backwards compatibility
it's over.
Stuff. It's like they've come out and said, here are the last couple games we're doing it. It's been a labor of love. I'm of the mindset if the backwards compatibility with Microsoft was like on and popping, they would be still doing that to this day in regards to like what other things about our backwards catalog is going to be added. So, but the difference between Microsoft and Sony is that Sony also has the PlayStation 1. They also have the PSP. They also they have all these other catalogs to add on to those 300 games. And I'm like, are we getting a Nintendo Switch Online situation where like, hey, what's the cadence of games they're going to be putting from those older software on there? Because like, while I'm of backwards old game is old, and I rarely get the instinct, like the inkling, to go back and play an old game without like the without it being sold to me again as something new with new features. If Mega Man Battle Network 1 and 2 were on there, I would play it in a heartbeat.
What about Mega Man Legends?
I never played Legends. I played Legends 2.
Yeah. I think what it boils down to is that the category or the list of games that are going to be present on this list has to appeal to the people, who are going to be signing up for this. Because if it doesn't, and if it is just like the normal PlayStation Now stuff, then people are going to carry on because it's just a normal PlayStation Now. And if you don't have PlayStation Now, then you don't necessarily care for those games.
And to a certain I think, did I just forget this point? Maybe I just did. Let me move on. And to a certain another point about that. Fuck. I lost my train of thought, Donald. But no, one thing.
Okay. Oh.
I'm just talking now. I'm just people talking. I'm just.
All right. So why are you doing that? I'm gonna throw another article at us. So this comes from VGC and by way of Jordan Midler. Ooh. Sony claims every major publisher will support the new PlayStation Plus games library. All right, continue.
Yeah, so that's my thing. With PlayStation Now, Sony would cycle in their own catalog. With this new system, those games have to just exist there.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot if you put God of War 2018 on there, it has to just stay there. You can't get rid of it. It has to just sit there. There's no shoving in and out. It has to sit there, and this Essential has to evolve into a catalog of old Sony games. Because to a certain extent, to a certain extent, you can't. It has to be just a backlog. You can't shovel in.
That's close to what Game Pass is.
Yeah, exactly. In a world where Game Pass exists as a catalog of Microsoft games, even in the absence of them giving us a time period for when this game is going to be there, if you do know that game is always just going to be there, then that just alleviates that
anxiety,
that time frame issue that you need to know.
Yeah.
And then my last thing I want to say about this is my only concern is for someone who's getting PlayStation Plus Essential is that what does this mean for the 2 free game situation? Are we going to get the current games with gold shovelware kind of a thing where Microsoft has ignored?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about
anything and just what is the either thing we can get there?
Yeah.
Or are we going to get a good enough? I don't need brand new. I just need of a certain quality. And
that's what
I will say as of right now, the current PS Plus games have been of varying quality. So I don't necessarily think that's going to change because
it's been better than
right
gold
now,
though. Shit.
Is it? Oh,
yeah. It's been better than gold.
I looked at gold 1 year. There's a reason why no one talks about games with gold as an announcement.
Games with what? Games with what?
Typically, PlayStation Plus games normally had a Metacritic score of at least 75 or higher, or 80 or higher, something like that. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Here's the one thing. Another thing about the difference between Plus and Extra and Essential is that in a world where they're giving you those games on Essential, those games are going to disappear because of contracts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Things about being on Extra. On Essential, they're just in your library as long as you have Essential. So you don't own them, you own them. So there's a thing about redeeming them.
Yeah.
One thing that now, and this is a plus for now, that now did better than Game Pass was they actually had a time frame for when games are going to leave. Game Pass doesn't do that. I'm in a constant nightly cold sweat of when Yakuza leaves. I'm just hoping, God, it's not tomorrow. But when I think Borderlands came out on now last year, they gave you a specific time when it was going to leave. And if they take that to Extra, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad I'm glad I can organize my shit.
Right. Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to throw into this conversation, and I think ultimately the question should be is PlayStation Plus premium a good deal?
Remains to be seen.
In terms of what you're playing.
I cannot tell right now.
In terms of catalog, we don't know. So I can't even tell you if it's like, is this like the banger list of PS1 games plus PS2 and PS3 games, or this is like what deals we could make at this time to get games on there, and whether they're going to stay there or not. But in terms of like, I guess from everything else they purport for premium combined with its price, I think it's more than fair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm of the mind of like, I mean, in agreeance of just like, they're providing you with a lot of games, and even if you know PS Now, but if you look at this announcement, you're like, oh, that's a lot of that's a big number of games. Let me actually go check that list. Like you may or may not, but you most likely will find something.
There's a bunch of stuff that I bookmarked that I wanted to try at some point in time. So it's not.
Mm-hmm. It's not a terrible list.
I missed. Like I typically don't buy a game if I don't get it at launch.
The most exciting thing that could come out of PS Plus Premium is if those games on there get trophy support and any other like minor boost to what they output and things like that, and B, if I could physically buy those games from the PlayStation Store.
Yes.
Now,
that'd be pretty cool.
If I could buy those games from the PlayStation Store, then like I don't need PS Premium. It's my same fucking thing. Why I like Amazon Prime so much is that I can just buy this movie if I want to. Or B, what do you mean? What am I talking about? Yeah, but why I want to. Or if I can't and they do all that stuff there, I will 100% go back to old games with trophies. I will get premium because they've given them trophies.
Yeah, actually, the trophy support is actually I don't think I've heard anyone really talk about the possibilities of that. Like if they're
that's the thing. If it's like if this is a vast list of games, then like you can kiss trophy support goodbye, because that's something them individually having to go in and retrofit. But if it's like a small curated list of games that I'm like that's constantly expanding and getting trophies, I don't know.
I would imagine that the PS3 games, because that's when they introduced them, right?
Yeah.
It would still have it built.
It depends. Because, like, in the first year and a half of PS3, no games had trophies. Trophies were a secondary thing they took from Xbox. So, like, Metal Gear 4, which I played 4 or 5 times, no trophies on that game. Valkyria Chronicles 1, no trophies on that either. So...
Yeah. Okay. So the last little thing to go along with this topic, it is also about PlayStation, and it's also about Jim Ryan, because Jim Ryan says more acquisitions are coming. This comes from GameSpots by Eddie Makuchi. My last name is eluding me. Anyways, Sony Interactive Entertainment president Jim Ryan has promised that the company will continue to acquire more studios in the future following a big buying spree in 2021. Sony acquired 5 studios in 2021, and in 2022, so far, it's announced the deal to buy Destiny 2 developer Bungie and Jade Raymond's Haven Studios. So this is cool. So there was a specific thing that Ryan said that the internet is abuzz with. Jim Ryan says, putting these games into a subscription service immediately upon their release, this would break their virtuous cycle. The games that he's talking about the first party studio games. So like God of War, we're talking about Last of Us, we're talking about Horizon. And everyone kind of jumped on the whole virtuous cycle. Like that's so interesting.
That's a brand new PR term that I'm going to start using in casual conversation because it sounds awesome. It sounds like a Metal Gear term.
Yes, it does. Just to continue reading on that quote, and we wouldn't be able to invest in the way that we're currently able to, and so we're not doing it, he said. And, this is just to go along the idea of we'll make the first party games, day one, like put them on the service day one. That will do what it needs to do to compete with Game Pass. And I think Sony Sony's in a position, or PlayStation's in a position right now that they didn't really want to be in, and Microsoft kind of pushed their hand in terms of, hey, we're going to put our first party games on Game Pass. What are you going to do, Sony? And Sony was like, we're just going to ignore that and keep doing what we're doing. But they've just gotten to the point now where they had to respond, and this is their response. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so like their response, I think what's interesting in his response is he's not opposed to it. It's just that they have no real reason to do it. And then in regards to the virtuous cycle situation and what that means by is that I've always been of the mindset that when you make a service that's built on numbers of subscribers instead of guaranteed dollars, that you have to change the way you make games to fulfill those tenets, if that makes sense. And so you can't make $100 like 24 hour Naughty Dog game, like $100 million 24-hour Naughty Dog game on, I think, on the traditional subscription model. Like you're just like, there has to be, especially when you're I've been of the mindset you can't do that. Me and Jordan had a back and forth about in regards to what about Microsoft, and they released Psychonauts 2, Halo, and Forza all during that period in sort of opposition to what Ryan has said. And then my general response to that was that outside of Forza, both Halo and Psychonauts weren't developed with a Game Pass model in mind. Like Halo probably started development right after Halo 5 ended, which was before Game Pass. All that sort of like conceptualizing what the game would be changed. That being said, the Halo Infinite moniker of it and what that became, I think, was sort of shifted toward a Game Pass model for benefits and for here and there.
As a live service.
Forza Horizon 4.
Forza Horizon was
2008. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Forza Horizon was 100% developed for Game Pass, and I think that is the type of game that works the most on a Game Pass-like service. One that is a living, breathing service that doesn't have an end, that you can constantly come in and come out, and if you constantly update it, it just lives and breathes on there. Hence, live services work a lot better on a subscription gaming platform than sort of composed experiences. And in regards to Psychonauts, that's a game that was already in development before Microsoft bought Double Fine, and just kind of had to live on the service. And to that extent, those type of games work a lot at a catalog title, where like it's made its eventual sales, and now it's just word of mouth. People seeing it on the service and just playing it from there. But I don't think it's sustainable to make like high profile single player games without like live service attachment to it or multiplayer on a subscription service.
Here's the thing, and I do agree with your point, Avery, but like, you know, we can't compare Microsoft to Sony in terms of resources. You know, Xbox does have, Microsoft does have the positioning to take those hits of like $100 million single player game going in there and not making the same amount as God of War does on the first weekends, the first months. So it's like, it's not so much apples and oranges. Sony is doing the responsible thing. In no way is Sony compromising their system that has given them games like Horizon Forbidden West, like Ratchet and Clank, and God of War. But at the same time, it's like, I think there's slowly moving, like to Jim Ryan's language, there is a bit of flexibility there, to which at the beginning of the conversation, I'm like 6 months down the line. 3 months, like further away from that day and date, and still having some type of a lure to people subscribing, because there's still subscriptions in its essence, no matter what the industry, is still fairly lucrative to these companies. Like it's like that, you know, perpetual paycheck. It's like a salary payment every week. You want to. I'd rather you pay it every week than, you know, once after every big project. Like that's what seems like salaries to these companies.
Yeah.
to that, I think it's interesting. In regards to that, I think if we're ever going to see when those games show up on the subscription services, I think there are two avenues. There's either Sony looking at their fucking tea leaves and like, all right, when do we get our big chunk of change for our money, and when does it taper off? If it tapers off in like 6 months, then I think that's the tenor they're going to start seeing games showing up on there, because it's not really going to be making them that much money on its own. So why don't you just put it there? Or, interesting enough, when those games get their PC release.
Yeah. That's the PC ecosystem.
Yeah, the PC is the thing. Yeah.
The PlayStation ecosystem now. We can start calling
PlayStation PC, I think, or PC PlayStation. I don't know. One of the two. Okay. Yeah. So
PC sucks. I'm just playing. We didn't have Dang shit. Let's go.
All right. So, I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that, you know, any step forward is a good step forward for PlayStation and their services. And this is just one of those step forwards, and we'll just have to see what happens in terms of, will this be a thing that we will all invest in, or is it just going to be a Sean thing, you know? So, at least if it's a Sean thing, he'll let us know what we're missing out on. So.
Sean buy his cars from the Target.
It'll finally, Jordan will finally have a worthy opponent in talking about Game Pass if Sean is the guy talking about, hey man, I played this game on PS Plus Extra.
Let's go. Worthy opponent.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Press X Start Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite podcasting app. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend after you hit the notification button of this YouTube video. Remember, our podcasts and our videos are, we drop them weekly on Fridays, so make sure you're there to check them out in case you don't know what you should know by now. Well, you take care, you be safe, and you have a good day. And if you can't have a good day, don't make it a bad day for anyone else. There you go.